The juice is loose.
I'm gonna make you so happy.
Okay everyone, it's time to listen to Mom. Today we're gonna break down, is Beetlejuice good? Well, let's just get right into it. Well, I can honestly say yes. I would recommend for watching it at the theater, but it does have problems. I'm gonna start with all the positives, then we're gonna roll into those problems, avoiding spoilers, of course. Nothing more said besides what we see in the trailers, okay? This will either say, hey, I want to go, or help you form an opinion to either stay away from this film, because there are gonna be some things that I mentioned that if you're watching, that you're gonna say, you know what? I'll probably wait to rent it. Just a friendly reminder, we are a brand new channel. Leaving a like helps out a ton, even a subscription. Okay, let's just dive even further in. It's been 35 years since we've seen Michael Keaton back into this iconic role of Beetlejuice, where he only had 14.5 minutes of screen time in the first film, and honestly, is some of the best moments of Beetlejuice. In this new movie, we were brought back because of the loss of a family member. We returned back to the house that started it all. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life is turned upside down when her teenage daughter, Astrid, accidentally opens the portal to the afterlife. Now, the positives are the best part of this film are Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Jenna Ortega. Yes, Jenna's amazing in this film. I finished this movie wanting more Beetlejuice. I mean, I want a third film, which is how I felt after the first one. I wanted a second one. His charisma and power on the film is amazing, and Michael Keaton, after 35 years, this role was meant for him. You're gonna just want more, always. Even Winona Ryder is extremely charming in her role, and passing the baton to a brand new character, Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, is fantastic. I felt when these three were on screen, we were at our absolute best, and maybe wonder why there were not more of them at times, and during the editing of the film, they have to have seen the pacing changes overall in the film. The sets overall were fun, inventive. It brought back some of the old stuff. The CGI is there, yes, but I appreciate the fact that it's best to ensure it was done practically. There was an effort. It expanded more on the lore, but by the end of the movie, I still would have loved more lore, right? No pun intended there. This world is extremely creative, and it makes me want a third film to round it all out. Because this wasn't, I still struggle if this is better than the first one. I think due to nostalgic and rose-colored glasses, we're going to say the first one is better. Because overall, I mean, still, I guess maybe, the score felt natural, as it was done by Danny Elfman, who has done so many of our favorite iconic films we love, but also even the intro of the film was respectful towards the original. One thing the film does is it has nostalgia, but it's done right. We are clearly passing the baton to new things, a new story, and even went back to go watch the original after, and I have to say the story itself felt unique and fun in its own right. I will even say that Willem Dafoe, while not extremely impactful, was still a treat to have on screen. As we covered things here that are great, the music, the sets, the original characters, the energy and spark that they bring, all of these things I would just go to pay again, honestly, for a third film. It had me smiling during the film. But there were areas I was confused on the emphasis, and also there are a lot of weaker parts of the film, especially after the opening intro. So the first, like, 1/4 of the film is really slow. Disclaimer. I know I could go longer praising this movie, but I want to be honest with you as well, and that's why this section exists here. Because once the ball got rolling, the film felt fine, but the intro character, due to the relationship with Lydia, Winona Ryder, was forced. Which, to be fair, in storytelling, it does have its purpose at the start of the film, but because it was so jarring, it was a bit out of place at the start, especially if we were trying to at least understand the character. I don't think this was the actor's fault. I think he fit the world. I understood the intention, but the purpose to add tension could have been written perhaps differently. To say the least, I understood the why. I just personally have a preference for something different. Comment down below if you watched the movie and feel the same way. There were two major storylines that could have been focused on more. They could have given more life to our trio, or perhaps given them more screen time, but for some reason, we had our focus pulled into what I deemed the worst part of this film. Now, this is no fault of Catherine O'Hara. I think she's a great actress, but her character was always purposely shallow, because that's who she was in the first film. Because in the movie, her husband does get killed, which is also shown in the trailer, and is literally the catalyst for the film, so no major spoilers here. It's also in the synopsis, pretty much, and you find out in the first 7 minutes, I mean, maybe sooner. I was one of those watchers who was confused by the exclusion of this one actor, which is why I'm not mentioning their name. I had to go Google it, and when I did, I haven't even mentioned it to my wife when we went to go see it, but my taste for the film immediately changed. I was immediately disgusted. They were charged with horrible acts, and they were not actually in the film. I get it, they were not in the film, but we still saw their face. So the homages and the occlusion, when I tell you how the original trio is, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, Catherine O'Hara is not to blame here, but I see perhaps why keeping her in and that story makes sense. But the actor who plays Charles, I just see as irredeemable and should not have been referenced or shown as much or given as much homage to. It took too much screen time for what I wanted more of. Beetlejuice, ladies and gentlemen, it made me feel robbed of knowing I could have had more of them, more of the group, more of the story conflict that we had mentioned prior, but also more of these characters on screen, because who knows if we'll ever get another film. I heard the film is doing well and has already surpassed even the first one, but again, I just feel a certain way now knowing that info, and it's difficult for me to separate the art from the work. And they weren't even in this movie. I mean, it's just like they were, but in like, I don't know, you have to watch it yourselves, and even if you rent it and but this movie did not need to have them. Now I reflect more about it, it just didn't make any sense. I would recommend not researching what occurred, because you may be turned away from it and not want to watch it, and those scenes kind of just feel wrong. This person was not involved, so I assume they weren't paid. They couldn't have been. The people who deserve the massive support are the trio we spoke of, the amazing work to the set designers, the practical effects, everything else in the film is just so good, which is why I harp on this section so much, because there's a lot of fun appearances that I won't spoil, and I wanted more from the story of those specific villains that they designated. I wanted to understand more of the justification. I wanted a bigger story wrapped around it. Some of it felt like it ended a little too soon for me, and because of that, when something ends too soon, I want to compromise by getting rid of something else. And I just look at that section and say, I want that out of the film, and I just don't want that there. And that's just my own perspective and how I feel about it, because it's a fun adventure and it's done in such a great way. And if I step away and I'm smiling when I see Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Jenna Ortega on the film, I mean, her chemistry, she's just so good. She's a great Wednesday Addams, and she is a great modern day actress of who I know she's in a lot, but she just does such a great job. I love it. I mean, a lot of praise still goes to the film. I'm just harping on what made me feel upset, where I was like, this is what I want. I still recommend watching it. Like I said, the energy is fun despite some of the weaker areas of the film. Again, I pass this off to you. If you enjoyed this review, let me know in the comment section, leave a like. Hopefully some of the honesty really helps a lot. I think this is why so many reviewers are a little conflicted, and where you see the weaker parts of the film and why it makes so much sense. Because when you put that in perspective and you watch it and you were to cut it, I feel like, wow, we have a 10 out of 10. Right? I mean, of course, you can nitpick at Michael Keaton and them and say, we need more of this, less of that. But sure, I mean, I'm not going to complain too much, but that's kind of where we struggle. Thank you again so much for watching. Sorry for the little bit of tangent here at the end. Hopefully the honesty helps you decide if you're going to go watch this. Thank you again. See you guys all in the next one.